Have you ever met someone who is not that smart, but they're making way more money than you? Like you're doing everything right, working hard, being responsible, and learning new skills, but they're just thriving, doing absolutely nothing. And when I say not that smart, I don't mean they're actually stupid. I mean people who don't overthink everything. The thing with smart people like yourself is that you're still thinking and planning, whereas someone who is not that smart, they take action without overthinking. They try, they mess up, and they learn as they go. So in today's video, I want to explain to you why that happened and how you can use the exact same idea to start making more money without becoming a different person. Let's get into it. So check this out. For a long time, I wanted to work in finance, right? I thought the best way to get in was to look really smart. So I studied math and physics, but then when I started networking, I noticed the degree of people who already worked there was completely different from mine. Because a lot of them didn't have math degrees. Some of them had degrees in English, history, or psychology. And I'm not saying those are bad or anything, but it did make me question, how did they get in and I can't? And that's when I realized something crazier. I met people who got into finance just because they knew someone. Like they had a friend, a cousin, or a person they went to school with who had already worked there. So they got a referral and suddenly they were earning. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to look impressive, studying for my CFA, which is the Chief Financial Analyst Certificate. It's pretty well known in finance, so you can look it up. But that's the moment I started to realize something I didn't want to believe. It's not always about how smart you are. A lot of the time, it's about who you know. Like they often say, right? Your network is your net worth. And I started seeing it everywhere. Like on social media, for example. You'll see influencers making hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions. And it's not even because they're doing anything smart. They're just really good at being seen, getting attention, and building an audience. And that stuff kind of messed up with your head because your whole life, you were told the same story. Go to school, get a serious job, be a doctor in engineering or a lawyer, to then turn around and see people making more money than those jobs from things school never taught them. Not from being smart, but from knowing people, putting themselves out there, and taking action. So I started asking myself, right, if being smart is not the only thing that gets you paid, then what is? So after seeing all that, I made a decision. I wasn't going to keep being mad at myself or mad at the people who work on Wall Street because honestly, being mad wasn't going to pay the bills, right? And I was tired of wasting my energy being in my feelings. And let's be real, it hurt when you work really hard for something and then you see someone else get it by barely doing anything. That was me. But I had two choices. I could sit there and stay mad, or I could do something about it. Also, I wasn't born rich or anything, so I didn't have a lot of resources or connection. So if I fell, nobody was coming to save me. At that point, it really felt like I had nothing to lose. So what's the worst that can happen, right? And I definitely wasn't going to sit there and let some random system or other people decide what my future would look like. I wanted to work in finance and I was going to do it one way or another. So my goal became simple. I needed to become more street smart, not book smart. But nothing ever happened according to plan, right? So by the time I graduated, COVID hit and it felt like the world was collapsing around me. All my job applications started getting rejected. The banks wasn't really hiring anymore because everything was shutting down. Offices were closed. People were scared. Everything just froze. And I remember sitting there thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do now? And this is where I made another rookie mistake. I thought if I can't get in right now, I'll just make myself even smarter. So that's when I started studying for my CFA. In my head, I thought when things get back to normal, this will help me get into the big firm. But here's the funny part, right? While I was locked up in my room studying, people were making millions of dollars online. I'm talking about the people on Reddit buying meme stocks like GameStop, AMC. People were also buying cryptos like Dogecoin. And some of them were making millions of dollars, again, for doing absolutely nothing smart. And it kind of got to me because I was doing what I thought was the responsible plan. Here I am studying, trying to build a career, and other people are out here making millions of dollars from their phone. Then when things started opening back up, I thought, okay, now it's my turn. But listen, right? The bank didn't want to hire me because I didn't have enough experience. See how crazy that is? I couldn't get experience because nobody would hire me, and nobody would hire me because I didn't have experience. Like, what the hell is this? And I remember I was so pissed. Like, if I knew this was going to happen, I would have just done what everyone else was doing. I should have been online trying to make as much money as possible for meme stock and cryptocurrency because I was just like, you know what? Whatever, man. I'm not even trying to deal with all that. I just gave up. So I eventually ended up moving to LA. So for me, that was going to be a new start. I thought to myself, right? Maybe finance was too hard to break into right now because of how bad the economy was doing. So let me try something else that was going to pay as well. So I looked into software engineering because big tech was hiring and a lot of the jobs was work from home. So in my head, it sounded like a win-win situation. And once again, I made that same rookie mistake. I sat down and told myself, if I just study hard enough for 6 months, I'll be ready, I'll grind, I'll learn everything, then I'll apply and get hired. So I started teaching myself coding. I was watching videos, reading books, practicing lead codes, all of that. And then guess what happened? AI. ChatGPT showed up and suddenly the whole tech industry started changing. Companies started firing their staff and hiring slowed down. So the plan I was building my whole life around immediately collapsed again. And what made it even crazier was this. While I was trying to learn everything the right way, people with zero programming background were using AI to make money online. They were building apps, websites, and selling all types of products without ever picking up a programming book. That's when I finally stopped and asked myself for real this time, what am I doing wrong? Because it felt like every time I try to get ahead by being book smart, the world just changes again. Meanwhile, other people who did not do what I did were making money. So I started paying attention to what these people were doing differently. And the answer was simple. They wasn't spending all their time trying to look smart. They wasn't overthinking every step. In fact, they wasn't even waiting until they felt 100% ready. They were street smart. If they wanted something done, they just tried it. They learned by making a mistake, by failing, while improving at the same time. And that's when it clicked for me. I wasn't losing because I wasn't smart enough. I was losing because I was stuck in analysis mode while other people were in action mode. And I'm not gonna lie, for someone who spent a big part of their life feeling stuck, studying hard, trying to climb the ladder, trying to do everything perfectly, I couldn't believe that I didn't figure this out sooner. Because instead of analyzing every step like, what if this doesn't work? What if I look stupid? What if I fail? I started applying my skills. I started testing things. I started making mistakes because that's how you learn faster, right? And that's the part people don't want to hear. A big reason dumb people make more money than you is because in a good way, they're dumb enough not to care so much about failing. They don't care about looking stupid. They don't care about being judged. They just try things. Meanwhile, a lot of smart people get trapped because we were taught our whole life to get things right, to be the best version of yourself, to get good grades, to not mess up, to avoid mistakes and all that. So we become so smart that we're scared to risk looking dumb, and that holds us back. I hate to say it, but life doesn't work like school. In school, mistakes feels like a punishment. In real life, mistakes are usually the teachers. If you mess up, you never learn, and if you never learn, you never level up. So I made it my purpose to get more comfortable with failures, not in a sad way, more like this is all part of the process. Like for example, with this YouTube channel, I'm constantly trying to make everything perfect. I want the script to be perfect, the edit to look perfect, the title, the video to come out amazing. And sometime I'll post something I work really hard on and it barely gets any views. And you know what? I'm okay with that because instead of letting it get to me, I treat it like feedbacks. I learn, I test something new, I improve, and I try again. And that's the difference. So here's the lesson. Don't be afraid to be dumb because you'll be very surprised how much money you can make compared to someone else who's way smarter than you. So thank you guys for watching today's video. If you gained any value from this, don't forget to like, subscribe, or push the notification bell for more on sustainable fashion, personal finance, and minimalism. I'll see you guys on my next video.